How's it going, everyone? As always, my name is Jimmy Champagne, and this is PSReady, my channel all about PlayStation. This is the weekend update here on the channel, and we've got some great topics ranging from some troubling news about the PlayStation 6, a really cool upgrade that'll bring your PS2 into the modern day, and how Sony is absolutely dominating on Steam right now. As for what I'm playing this weekend, I'm still chipping away at Final Fantasy VII Remake. I've put a lot of hours into this game, and while I understand why fans of this series, like diehard fans, love this game, I just like it. The story's cool, Cloud is awesome, Tifa's awesome, Aerith is awesome, the characters are all great, there's some really cool combat in this game, but you know, splitting this up into a trilogy of games means that this one feels extremely padded, and I just personally am not a huge fan of the game design where it's like cutscene, walk to the next cutscene, walk to the next cutscene, battle, walk to the next cutscene, and it just gets very monotonous. I played it in small chunks because I would get bored after a while, and it just feels like 30 hours is too much. There's about 15 to 17 hours of good content here, but all of my criticisms seem to be addressed in Rebirth, so I'll give the demo a shot and see if I like the final game. But yeah, let's jump into the first news story here on the channel, and it's all about the PlayStation 6. So Moore's Law is Dead has been making the rounds lately. He's been having some videos come out. Last week we talked about the PS Vita 2 rumors that got me really excited because if you didn't know, I'm a huge fan of handheld gaming. I've got a ton of Windows handhelds. I've got a Steam Deck. I still have my PlayStation Vita, my 3DS XL, and of course the Nintendo Switch. So the idea of my favorite console of all time, the PS Vita, getting a sequel, that sounds absolutely phenomenal. And this time around, he's back because he's talking about the PlayStation 6. So in his video, he's saying that the console itself, the PlayStation 6, will have the ability built into its APU to use generative AI. And I was immediately really worried about that because I don't want games using AI art. I think that's like honestly pretty whack. You could just hire someone to draw art for your game or like make the assets and everything like that. Like anything that an actual artist can do, I am not all about AI taking over that. But then I read into it more and it honestly sounds kind of cool. Basically, this generative AI feature that's coming to the console will basically allow it to make it so you don't hear canned animations from NPCs when you're running through the world. You know, Final Fantasy VII Remake is a great example of this. Like in some of the city sections where you're just walking through and you pass the same people over and over again, they only have like 2 or 3 lines and you hear them about 100 times, especially when you're in the slums and you're doing the side quests. It gets a little monotonous, right? So maybe AI could take the voice of the voice actor who recorded a bunch of lines and construct something new so that you hear contextual things that are related to what you're doing in the actual game when you run by these characters. I don't want it to be like generating a full-on computerized voice because I mean we hear it in even the best examples like Siri, I guess. You can tell it's a robot talking to you, and I still want voice actors to be paid at the end of the day. Like I love Troy Baker, my friend Ray who does Xbox Ready, he's a voice actor. I want him to be employed as a voice actor because that's his career path, and I think always you hear someone's like soul, I guess, through voice acting versus AI coming up with some stupid ass voice. I mean, there was that guy who gets clowned on constantly sharing videos around on Twitter about the AI movie he's making about a princess, and he acts like it's on par with Pixar, but it's a glorified slideshow and the art looks like shit. So yeah, I don't want the PS6 to be using AI to create voices, but if it's doing things like making NPCs have a scripted path or giving them some extended dialogue lines that are more contextual to the story, I think that is a little bit cooler. There's been a lot of doom and gloom rumors going around lately that the PS6 generation is going to be the end of plastic boxes. And I don't know when this became the new hot thing for gaming influencers to pretend that the box doesn't matter. I don't feel that way. I play on PlayStation 5 for a reason. It's because the console itself is cool. It provides good features in games. It has good online services. And when you want to pop in a 4K Blu-ray of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood because you just want to watch one of the greatest movies of all time, it's nice to have a console ready to go. Or if you're not someone who has a smart TV or like an Apple TV or a Roku or a Fire Stick or something like that, then you can use your PS5 as a media center. And I get a better experience out of the PS5 than the Xbox Series X. So to act like all these boxes, these plastic boxes are the same, is stupid in my opinion, because there's a clear difference in terms of quality and ease of use when it comes to PlayStation versus Xbox. And you can natively play games on the device. Like, where are we going to get if the end of plastic boxes is the eventual future and everything's going to become a service, right? Like if everything is Xbox Game Pass or PlayStation Plus, you're still going to need something to play these games on, because I feel like the vast majority of people have realized that cloud streaming is just bad. It doesn't work right half the time, or half the time. It doesn't work right 99% of the time. And even in the best case scenario, you still get blocky textures, you still get latency, you still get lower resolution streaming. Like no one really wants that to be the future. And honestly, if we get to the point where there are no plastic boxes and we have to play our games on a phone or like a TV streaming from servers like 500 miles away in like Ohio or something, I don't want to play games like that. I'll stick with PC at that point. I'll play PC as long as I can't download games there. But like, I feel like Sony understands that people want hardware, right? They're a hardware company. They provided more hardware this generation than literally everyone else. Whereas the Xbox, all they've given us this generation is the Series S and X and a headset for the Xbox Series X and S. Nintendo, they've given us 2 Nintendo Switches, well 3 actually, the Switch Lite, and the Switch OLED. PlayStation has given us 2 versions of the PS5, 2 more versions of the PS5 with the Slim. They've given us the DualSense Edge, which is a very premium controller. They've given us the accessibility controller. They've given us PSVR 2. They've given us PlayStation Portal. And if everything is to be believed, they're going to have yet another handheld coming out within just a couple of years. So yeah, honestly, I feel like we are going to see consoles from PlayStation and Nintendo for a very long time. But for Xbox fans, I guess I kind of get why they're acting like all consoles are going away, and it really just seems to be because theirs is, right? I'm coming in a little hot today here, but like I feel like people are trying to will the future into existence where we don't have a PlayStation anymore, and I don't know, I don't want that. I don't know if it's just nostalgia or like me being old now because I'm 30 and I'm just stuck in my ways and I've always had a console, or what, but like I've tried streaming and it's not good. Next up here, let's talk about the PlayStation 2. Yes, let's bring it back to a console that had some of the best games ever made on it, like Metal Gear Solid 2, 3, Resident Evil Outbreak, Outbreak 2, Silent Hill 2, 3, and 4. There's incredible games on the PlayStation 2, and they didn't need always online connections or patches or anything like that. They were just great games. Wouldn't that be nice to go back to that? Anyway, if you want to play your PlayStation 2, there are solutions where you can plug in RCA cables to like this adapter and get an HDMI output. But it's still like 480p and it doesn't look great. But now there's this thing that you can solder onto the motherboard of your PlayStation 2 and it'll give it HDMI output and upscale it to look crisp and clear on your TV. It's called the Retro Gem and it's $100. And yeah, all you have to do is pop open your PlayStation 2, solder it onto the motherboard, and from that point forward, it'll vastly increase the capabilities of your PlayStation 2. And honestly, I see stuff like this all the time where it's like a hack box you can put on the back of your Nintendo Switch that'll upscale it to 1440p or 4K, and it looks pretty cool. But the idea of extending the longevity of the PlayStation 2 is extremely cool to me, because I went back to the PlayStation 1 and 2 last year on the Steam Deck because you can emulate games super easily on there, and I played a bunch of games that came out when I was a kid that I missed. God of War 1 is a great example. I played God of War 2 because it was so awesome, but I missed God of War 1 back in the day. I also went back and tried out the PS2 versions of some of my favorite Metal Gear games. I played Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. I even started out some Code Veronica on the PlayStation 2, and upscaling through an emulator looks really good even on my main gaming PC using EmuDeck. Your saves transfer back and forth and it's awesome. So having the capability to do that with native hardware honestly sounds really cool. And $100 is a lot of money. Like objectively, I think a lot of people think $100 is a lot of money. I don't think I'm crazy there, but for what this actually does and how easy it is to install, like all you need to know is how to solder, I think this thing is probably worth it. I've seen a few videos of it in action and it sounds pretty cool. So yeah, I'm going to be digging out my PlayStation 2 over at my parents' house in the next couple weeks, because I want to do a video where I go back and try out some games on discs and see how much better the experience is or worse playing those games in 2024. But yeah, this thing would probably make capturing gameplay pretty damn easy, so I might have to pick one up. And the third news story I have on the channel today is that Sony is absolutely dominating on PC in a very surprising way. So over the past year or so, Sony's put a lot of their games games out on PC. They started out with PS4 games, but they've quickly caught up and got to PS5 games, and the PS5 games have not been performing well. Returnal sold very badly, Sackboy: A Big Adventure sold very badly, and Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart sold okay and ended up making a profit, but it was not the profit that I think Sony wanted to see out of that game. And there's a bunch of factors to that, right? Like marketing is really low on the PC releases, timing was really bad last year because there were so
interstellar
many
combat
new
with
games coming
giant
out, and a lot of these
acid-belching
games
insects,
weren't really
as the
hype
fine
drivers,
soldiers of
right?
Super
Like
Earth call
Returnal
it,
didn't sell extremely well on
democracy.
PS5. Ratchet
Now
& Clank
shooting in
sold
third
okay on
person,
PS5,
the
and I don't
Helldivers
even know
redeploy
what
for
Sackboy sold,
co-op,
because I have not
and our
heard
panel
Sony
of
mention
experts
that
can't
game
wait
outside
to
of just
enlist.
showing off the first trailer. So as far as the PlayStation PC games go, I think it's been like 50-50 successful so far, right? Like games like Horizon, God of War, and Days Gone all sold really well, and the other ones I talked about, not so much. But the one game I did not expect to sell well at all that is absolutely cleaning up right now is Helldivers 2. It looked like Sony didn't really have a lot of confidence in this game because they partnered up with Square Enix to launch Foam Stars on PS Plus the day before this game comes out. As far as the release time goes, it's releasing on a Thursday at 4 in the morning Eastern time, which is a bizarre time for that. There's no early access period or anything like that. And at the end of the day, it's a $40 game. But for some reason, this game has caught on with people, and it's at the point now where it's the third best-selling game on Steam, and it's beaten Palworld, which is one of the best-selling games ever on Steam. Like, it broke the record for the most concurrent players ever on Steam, so that's a very popular game for a $40 multiplayer shooter to beat out, especially one that's comedic, right? Like, this isn't a super serious machismo-based action game. Like, there's some goofiness to it, so yeah, this game is really popping off on Steam. I broke my usual rule and pre-ordered the game. I got the $60 edition on PS5, and I just pre-ordered the $40 edition on PC, so my save will transfer back and forth because some of my friends are on PC, some are on PS5, and I just don't like using Discord on the PS5, honestly, so when my friends are on PC, I'll play there, but the vast majority of my time, I think, is going to be on the OLED TV because this game's graphics look really good. I was cracking up yesterday when I was on Twitter, and I saw people getting excited for this game because of one thing, and that was when you use a rocket launcher, like an RPG, to take down some of the bigger spider bosses in one of the levels, it's a co-op move. So like your friend character has to come up and actually load the rockets into the RPG for you, so you can like kind of rapid fire it, if it, like semi-auto fire it, I guess. And it was a really cool video, and the graphics are awesome, but I was like, this is what people are saying is like all revolutionary. I distinctly remember doing that back in the original Helldivers. So if you've never played Helldivers 1, I mean, the second one's coming out, so there's not really a huge reason to play it, but if you still have your Vita kicking around, or you've got a Steam Deck or something like that, grab the Die Harder edition and give it a shot, because for all intents and purposes, Helldivers 2 looks like a remake of the first game with just more stuff and better graphics, and it's in third person. So it's a big step up, but it's basically just evolving the formula instead of completely redesigning the wheel. Hopefully Sony learns a lesson here that having games day and date on PC helps them sell. I don't think it really matters all that much because most people who have a PC probably don't even want to get a PS5, and if Sony's selling games in both places and selling them for full price day one, they'll ultimately sell more copies and recoup these insane budgets they've been throwing their games for like the past 5 years. But yeah, I was excited to see that Helldivers 2 is making its way up the Steam charts. Let me know if you're going to be playing it down in the comments below. That's all I've got for you today. So as always, my name is Jimmy Champagne. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and shape on.